Hello, listeners, and welcome to the greatest rising podcast in football. My name is Carson, and I'm a Cardsaholic, baby.
I'm Ian, and I'm a Bearsaholic. Alex?
Alex.
Alex? If only you had backups in real life. He's not motivated. And that's Alex the
That's
Billsaholic.
Alex! All right, guys, we got a lot of content coming for you today, but before we start, we're going to roll that intro. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Footballers Anonymous, where we're coming off of a crazy week 7, and you can't tell me it wasn't crazy. It's always crazy.
I will admit, I'm not going to exaggerate. It was pretty crazy this time around.
I had a mental breakdown Sunday. There was no Bears game to watch. Great video about that. So go check out our TikTok and our Instagram to see that video.
We are also coming live on Facebook this week. For those of you who are older and maybe more challenged, we got you there too.
We're not going to upload minion memes, but we'll still be there.
Ian, I had the opposite issue this week. I had a mental breakdown because there was a Cardinals game. We won. But we'll talk about that later.
A lot of trade rumors are going around.
Trade
we're getting
rumors?
to a point where we're talking about the Rams and the Vikings possibly swapping Darnold and Stafford. I don't think that's going to happen personally, but the rumors are going crazy before the deadline. That's what always happens.
I mean, they're definitely somewhat valid. I think what the Rams are going for here, if they would do it, they don't have a young quarterback to back up Stafford for when he eventually leaves. So just bringing in Sam Darnold, who's already got some experience and is still pretty young, will be great for the Rams. And for the Vikings, the idea being they still have J.J. McCarthy, who is young and still learning. Matthew Stafford can play for 1 or 2 seasons and just get them some experience in that quarterback room, and then J.J. McCarthy can take over. If it were to happen, I think it would be a decent move for both of the teams. Do I want it to happen as a team in the NFC West? I honestly don't know.
An interesting one there.
What I do know is I do want them to trade away Cooper Kupp, who was just officially declared open for trading. So this one's like more legit. Cooper Kupp is now open for trade, and there are a lot of teams that are definitely interested. Always a team in need of a wide receiver, and Cooper Kupp is always a good option if you need a veteran.
I mean, that's a good player to go out and get. I mean, speaking of the Rams receivers, both of them are going to be returning versus the Vikings, which makes that game quite interesting on Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime. It's gonna be interesting seeing that game because the Rams might make it actually decently close when Stafford actually has weapons. It'll be a shootout more likely than not because the Rams still don't really have that good of a defense. It's gonna be an interesting one.
Speaking of wide receivers, Devontae Adams, the man who just lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers twice in a row, not have the best debut with the Jets, did he?
But neither him nor Rodgers really had a great game. And yeah, again, like you said, lost to the Steelers twice in a row. That's gotta hurt at least a little bit.
Granted, he didn't play versus the Steelers the first time, but he still lost to them twice, which is kind of funny. It's like the Dak Prescott throwing 2 interceptions on different days versus the Steelers. Now it's just like Devontae Adams is just losing to the Steelers twice in a row.
The Steelers just love doubling down on this stuff. It's a little funny.
Speaking of the Steelers doubling down, they're doubling down on Russell Wilson.
Oh, I do not like that man is playing good football.
You know what I do like, though? And we will talk about the Steelers more later, but I do like that we don't have to listen to Ian glazing Justin Fields for that.
Oh, it's still going to happen.
Podcast anymore. It would be half
the
podcast episodes in the early season.
It's still going to happen.
Podcast episodes, now 30 minutes, just us talking about Mitch Trubisky the whole time.
Honestly, I'd listen.
Do you want to hear more about Mitch Trubisky? Because if you do,
Trubisky is our life.
You should be following us everywhere. on the Instagram, on the Facebook, on the TikTok, our YouTube. You can listen to us anywhere you listen to podcasts. Please come listen. We love it when you guys interact with us. Leave a comment, leave a review. Those are really good. We're actually going to be starting a new segment soon, and maybe I can introduce that now. We're going to be starting a new segment where every week we are going to ask you guys to ask us things.
Whoa.
Whatever, I know, real complex. Whatever you guys want to hear us talk about, we'll spend maybe 10 minutes answering some of your guys' questions. It can be about football. It can be not about football if you really want to ask, and we'll probably get to it.
I could talk football. I have a lot of interesting things. Trust, guys.
Ask us about Lightning McQueen's historical run.
If you ask us about Lightning McQueen's historical run, we will make an entire spin-off series about Lightning McQueen. We'll call Cars Anonymous or something
I will
amazing.
buy Lightning McQueen.
Cars Anonymous is crazy.
I will buy Lightning McQueen Crocs for the sake of the podcast.
Oh, 100%.
Good luck with that. I was looking at those like a week ago. Like a new pair, and especially in like a certain size, is like $500.
Oh, what?
Yeah, because they're not in development right now.
Absolutely.
Speaking about crazy
wild.
expensive, actually, Brandon Ayuk, crazy contract, out for the season.
Insane.
Oh, no! The 49ers
Forward
keep
rate.
losing people! It actually is pretty sad.
Yeah,
Low-key, I didn't... When I made the deal with the Devil to win the NFC West, I didn't think he would just kill all the players.
I don't know why your deals with the devil work for you. Here at Football is Anonymous, we're committed to you. But when I make deals with the devil, people don't stay committed to me. Shh.
We love trauma dumping on public podcasts.
That's absolutely wild, Alex.
Speaking of trauma dumping, Gerard Mayo called the team he coaches soft. And Bill Belichick went out and said, nah, you're just dumping. You're trauma dumping. You're lying about it. I coached this team last year. They were the #1 run defense in the league. And you let them have 19 runs in a row against you? That's a problem.
Hey, Tank Bigsby might be him for this team. I'm not going to lie. He was looking real good in London.
I love Tank Bigsby. He's got the best name of all time. Not the best name of all time, but he's got a very good name, and he runs like he's fun.
Acting like Kool-Aid McKinstry is done in the league.
Yeah, but he hasn't really done anything.
Yeah, but his name is Kool-Aid.
We do talk about things that are semi-football related, but not really. Eminem, the Lions fan, since the Lions are doing good right now, we wanted to talk about him. He was just with Barack Obama. What's Obama's last name? We'll never know. Not even Eminem could crack the case.
If he can't crack the case, then, I mean, who can? Just like the Saints, because who on that team can win when Drew Brees is watching? They're now 0-5 when Drew Brees is at the game. That is sad. That's just disrespectful to Drew Brees.
Not only
Especially this.
The Drew Brees, but this time around, he was inducted into the Saints Hall of Fame, and you still lost.
This man has literally fed families in New Orleans, and this is how he's being repaid. Congratulations on him for getting into the Saints. What was it? Hall of Fame or
Hall of
Ring
Fame.
of Honor? Yeah, the Saints Hall of Fame. Congratulations to him. That's a great accomplishment. He definitely deserves it. He's probably an NFL Hall of Famer sooner than later. Doing that is just insane. Especially with how the Falcons showed out when Matt Ryan was inducted into their Hall of Fame.
Still on the topic of the Saints, they just extended Alvin Kamara. That's a good move for them. At least they're getting something right this week.
I'm surprised not Desmond Ritter. Dennis Allen still has a job.
Just because Carson had mentioned it, Kamara's extension was a 2-year extension worth $24.5 million.
We're going to have like a little segue track here because, yes, that was his contract. I mentioned Desmond Ritter, so I'll get to him in a second. But Dennis Allen, I feel like he should have been fired definitely last year, and he's kind of still continuing to prove that he's just – I don't think he's the guy over there. And Saints fans agree. I am following some Saints social media pages because I'm a Pelicans fan in the NBA, so New Orleans type deal. They do not want him there. Speaking of Desmond Ritter, because I said his name on accident, because I'm kind of looking ahead here. The Raiders also signed Desmond Ritter.
Yeah, I miss him. I didn't miss him until he left, but Desmond Ritter, they picked him up off our practice squad. I just need you to think about this. If you are taking your starting quarterback off of the Arizona Cardinals practice squad, you are in a bad place. I don't care who it is. You are in a bad place.
Well, I mean, Aiden O'Connell's been placed on IR. Minshew is on and off. I don't blame them.
No, I mean, they are in a bad place.
I will say, we all know why Carson really does miss Desmond Ritter, because he was a Desmond Ritter hater. And then he found this funny stat where Kyler and Desmond Ritter are the two fastest quarterbacks on random runs. So he was like, we have the two fastest quarterbacks.
It's not two random runs. They are the two quarterbacks who, in a game, have run the fastest. They've made the two fastest runs in NFL game history.
Two random runs. That just happened to be
Two
the fastest.
amazing runs that were
Sure.
incredibly fast, like near Usain Bolt fast. So yeah, it was kind of cool to say, well, we have the two fastest quarterbacks in the NFL, but now we don't. But we still have Kyler Murray, and he's still amazing. So
Well, Fields was number 3, so there you go. There's your regularly scheduled Justin Fields glaze.
I don't know. Pat Mahomes was getting pretty close there on Sunday with that amazing run he had.
I don't even want to talk about it.
Anyway, speaking
We'll
of
talk
amazing
about that
runs, Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, finally
He had
someone
his,
who was in the right place.
He had his return to MetLife this week. It was crazy seeing how the fans were reacting to his return, especially with his the way when he was interviewed about it and he was asked about it, his expectations for it, and what actually happened. I get it. I get the football culture, but in a way that was kind of crazy.
And I wanted to highlight another thing from that game, because they booed him a lot, which is fair. You do that with a competitor thing. But besides the fact that he went absolutely crazy, Daniel Jones has not thrown a touchdown in MetLife in about 600 days. Players that have scored a touchdown in MetLife sooner than Daniel Jones, it's a massive list. It featured some amazing quarterbacks like Zach Wilson. To be fair, he played for the Jets, but
Zach Wilson, I got to shout out Zach Wilson real quick. He made his return to Provo, Utah, BYU this week for their amazing victory against Oklahoma. Apparently they accept him again because of all the stuff that he allegedly did basically being proven wrong. He's engaged now too, which is great. He's definitely he's going on an up track. I think Zach Wilson's career is far from over.
if he has a Geno Smith, Sam Darnold revival of his career, it's just proof. It's just proof that the Jets don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Speaking of engagements too, Dak Prescott got engaged over the weekend.
He did.
He did.
I can see it now. He gets on his knee. He goes, "Yeah, here we go."
Oh,
He pulls out the ring.
Do you think when he presented it, she took it like a snap and just threw it with more accuracy than he did?
it got intercepted.
No,
Twice.
because he wasn't the one throwing it.
Oh, you're right. I think she would have moved the ball better than the Dak and the Cowboys did against the Lions. Which, speaking of the Lions, it refers to our stat line of the week this week.
So today, for our stat line of the week, we got Jamison Williams. And why? Yeah, he had one target, one catch for -4 yards. But then he got suspended for violating the NFL's policy on performance-enhancing drugs. So, was it really worth it if you had one catch for -4 yards?
I hope those -4 yards were really worth it. You earned yourself a stat line of the week with that, so that's there.
Pretty good award.
I mean, that's better than winning an NFL game. You get a Footballers Anonymous stat line of the week, like, yes.
Shout out Jamison Williams. We'd love to have you on the pod. Just don't gamble.
You know who else we'd love to have on the pod?
Who?
Mascots. We're on a segue roll today. Ian laughing is like how I laugh when I see the mascots doing such amazing things out there on the field. But you know what I don't see them doing? I don't see them coming onto our podcast, and that's a real issue. Every single week, we are reaching out to each mascot in the NFL to get them on our podcast, but we need you, the fans' help. That's right, we're depending on you again. We need your help. If you have a favorite mascot, you have to reach out, DM them, email their organizations, do whatever you have to do, and tell them that you want them to star on an episode of Footballers Anonymous to get the greatest mascot award. Pretty crazy, I know.
You know, you could say we need our fans to be all aboard.
He wants me to talk about the comment of the week. I think this is actually a really good one.
Did I?
This is a really good one here. Our comment for the first time. This is a new one. It's from TikTok. We haven't had a TikTok comment yet. We've had 2 Instagram and 1 YouTube. TikTok is on the board.
You're forgetting
Dylan.
our first comment of the week, Dylan.
Dylan. I'm a fraud.
Yeah, we're
You're a
kicking you off the
fraud.
podcast. That's a public apology right there.
This time, actually, our TikTok comments seem to be hitting really well. This one's from Logan Campbell. It says, they picked bro up from the Polar Express. You know what I have to say to that? All aboard!
Wait, that was really good.
Thank you. I worked very hard on it. Actually, I really didn't, but, you know.
You know who else didn't have to work very hard this week?
Who?
Our man, Will Levis, who is currently injured and not starting for the Titans. If only he were able to start and we could have a Will Levis meme of the week.
This week's Will Levis meme of the week is just him on the sideline with his mouth wide open.
Okay, you're missing a lot of details here. First off, he is wearing the incredibly dashing Crucial Catch gear. And he's not just wearing like the hat, he is decked out in the just amazing Crucial Catch gear.
Now, admittedly, the hat's the only bad part of it. Other than that, it's kind of decent depending on the team.
I agree with that, actually.
The hat's just bad. It's just the plaid. It's just the plaid. The plaid is so bad.
Look, if first off, you shouldn't do the plaid, period. But if you're gonna do the plaid, you either got to go with the rainbow or the plaid. You can't do both. This
really upsetting, actually. Crucial Catch is actually one of my favorite. I love collecting hats, and Crucial Catch has been one of my favorite ones. Like this past few years, and they really just did horrible this year.
Something else I wanted to kind of note on, like, about the picture. He was very scraggy, if that makes sense, in the picture, and it almost gave, like, when I saw him for the first time, I was like, he looks like Owen Wilson right now.
Wow. A little bit of Rusty's and a whole lot of luck. You two can look just like Levis.
I think you mean a little bit of mayotivation.
Mayotivation.
Speaking of mayotivation, we have a couple teams here who are in desperate need of some mayotivation, which is going to bring us into the pinnacle of our podcast, the Footballers Anonymous Power Rankings.
And here's your friendly reminder that because it's our power rankings, it's automatically better than Pete Briscoe's.
Exactly. Always is.
So true.
Always. Without fail.
You know what Pete Prisco doesn't have? He don't have no baddies on his list.
Ooh, but we got some baddies on our list. For those of you who don't know, the way we do our power rankings every week is Ian, Alex, and myself will all rank all 32 of the NFL teams from best to worst in our power rankings. We then take those said power rankings and average them up so that we get a group power ranking. This can lead to a couple ties sometimes. Last week, we had the historical event of getting 0 ties in our power rankings, which is still insane. And this week, continuing that trend, we had 5. Not coherent at all. But 2 of those are in our top 12, which means we're going to get to debate them and figure them out. And the rest of them, we just voted on. Pretty simple. When we reveal these power rankings to you, the way we do this is we reveal our bottom 3 teams, 30, 31, and 32, known as the baddies. And then we give you our top 12, who are pretty cool, but we all know everyone wants to be the esteemed number 32, ultra baddies. So, with that, we're going to get into our baddies this week. At number 30, our first baddie of the week, the Carolina Panthers, who took a beating to Marcus Mariota.
Listen, you deserve to be on the baddies when you let Marcus Mariota connect with Zach Ertz in 2024 for a touchdown.
Yeah. The Red Rifle did not help them here.
He did not.
No.
But it's okay, because at number 31, we got an even worse quarterback situation. Our second team on the baddies, we have the Cleveland Deshaun Watsonless Browns.
Whoa.
What a return for Nick Chubb.
I will say, he did do pretty decent in his return, and I think he's just going to keep going up from here. But, obviously, the big headline is Deshaun Watson is out for the season.
Hey, you know what this means, though? Jameis Winston on the return.
The Browns season is saved. Not really.
100%. Well, no, they lost Watson and Cooper in the same week. That's kind of... Well, I guess Watson isn't that big of a loss, but...
No, that's actually a win. Not good to see someone get injured, but I think Winston's going to do better than Watson. He didn't play bad actually before he got injured, but...
You still, though, you gotta feel a little bad, because the highlight of this game should have been Nick Chubb coming back. Easily. It's such a good story of how hard he worked. Cleveland is kind of thriving on Nick Chubb. But after this game, no one's talking about Nick Chubb coming back or getting a touchdown. It's all that Deshaun Watson is gone, which it's just really sad for this team. But hopefully things only go up from here, maybe without Watson. I hope Nick Chubb continues to prosper on the team.
If they want to go up, they have to hope that Myles Garrett doesn't leave, because the Browns have just opened trade negotiations for Myles Garrett, which is wild.
I know why everyone comes to this podcast. You don't come here for any of the football content other than the ultra baddies. And here on Footballers Anonymous, we have a pretty exciting race going on for the ultra baddies, because with this week's ultra baddie, we now have 2 teams with 2 wins of the Ultra Baddie Award. Previously last week, we had the Jacksonville Jaguars coming in with their second Ultra Baddie Award, but this week, we have the team that they beat, the New England Patriots, getting their second award as an Ultra Baddie. Listen, the Patriots, I think Drake May is not a bad quarterback.
Not at all.
Not at all. His receivers definitely did not put him in any good spots. There were a lot of dropped balls there.
It's not just his receivers, his O-line, his running backs aren't playing great. And then on the other side of the ball, the defense is playing horrible.
And the coach is terrible.
It's because they're soft. It's because they're soft, guys.
100%. 100%.
I said this at the beginning of the year. I don't know why the Patriots thought it was a good idea to hire a random defensive player that's never coached any coordinating roles as their head coach, just because he's a part of the culture. He doesn't know what he's doing. It's pretty obvious.
A funny name.
I mean, Belichick is calling him out now.
Wait a minute. The Patriots are one of the most motivated teams in the league.
What? Why?
Because their coach is Gerard Mayo.
the most motivated team in the NFL, short of the Titans, obviously. Well, they're not motivated right now because they don't have Will Levis starting. But Patriots, you're the most motivated team, and yet you still don't know how to capitalize on that motivation, which just shows how bad you are. You have earned your second Ultra Baddies Award. So there you go. There are this week's baddies. Now we're about to get into top 12. But before we do that, it would just be remiss if you didn't hear me rant about the Cardinals a little bit. So I'm just going to kind of insert that in right here. I don't know if anyone actually watched our Monday Night Football game, because why would you when our only primetime game is the ESPN Plus exclusive? That's also a doubleheader with a game that is much better on paper and in real life. The Cardinals, and I think all of us can agree on this because none of us knew even where to put them on the power rankings. They are the most inconsistent team in the NFL. James Conner, he just continues to be him. Okay, 101 yards rushing, 51 receiving yards, tied for most receiving yards with Trey McBride. Is that good? Yes and no, but James Conner will always just be that guy. He is a monster. Kyler Murray didn't have an amazing game, but he did bring out that 2-minute offense that he is always good at. The biggest issue here is the lack of use of Marvin Harrison. And if you look at it, it's not even just Marvin Harrison. None of the Cardinals receivers are getting any sort of play. And this is always going to be a run-first team. But you used your number 4 pick on Marvin Harrison Jr., and he is getting absolutely no targets. Who is to blame for that? A lot of people are pointing fingers at Drew Petting, our offensive coordinator. Lately, it just hasn't been it. I don't think he understands how to use these wide receivers. Part of that is probably because last year he had to build an offense on having no good wide receivers. But now we have that, and it is not being used properly. Marvin Harrison basically stopped running his routes last night. He just jogged because he knew he was not going to get the ball. I think, and okay, you guys are going to have a lot to say about this because it's low-key kind of crazy. But in the preseason, Jonathan Gannon and Drew Petting had Kyler Murray calling his own plays. Kyler Murray was calling his own plays in the preseason. And I think it's the right move, honestly, in this case. I think you just need to let Kyler Murray call up a couple plays and just let him ball.
No, I think that's something that's a viable option. I mean, quarterbacks always know the game, or at least they're experiencing the game differently than the coaches are. So I think if they have an idea for play, I think they should be willing to run that. And I will say, with your case of MHG being underutilized going into Monday Night Football, Kyler Murray was 116 of 170. That's 54 incompletions, right? Of those 54, 20 of those were intended for Marvin Harrison Jr., who was 17 for 37. And then after Monday Night Football, of Murray's 12 incompletions, 3 of those were to Marvin Harrison. He still had 6 targets, and granted, he was kind of hit pretty hard, and definitely should have been an unnecessary roughness call towards the end of the game. But he still dropped it before the hit occurred. It wasn't a result of the hit, so. I think Marvin Harrison himself has a lot of kinks he needs to work out. I think him and Murray have a lot of work to do in the lab, but otherwise,
Yeah.
and I'm not talking about the Call of Duty lobbies. I'm talking about the lab.
Yes. No.
Hey, maybe that's what they need. Maybe they need to bond over Call of Duty. Who knows?
Maybe.
They need Call of Duty, yeah.
I've been made fun of a lot because I say 100% a lot. But Jonathan Gannon, who apparently is just like me taking it to the next level, when asked about getting the wide receivers involved in our next game, said that he is 1,000% positive that the wide receivers are going to be more utilized. So that's a big claim, okay? 1,000%, that's a lot of percent.
It is a lot. He's adding a whole extra 0 to that percent.
This is a team, they're ranked at, I'm pretty sure it's 16. Yeah, they're exactly at 16 on these power rankings. they're just so inconsistent. So something's got to change. Coming into our power rankings, our top 12, we have at number 12 the Buffalo Bills.
Well, this game, it happened. It was a good game. The first half was a little questionable, but the second half we definitely turned up the notch, particularly on offense. Amari Cooper got himself involved. He had 5 targets for 4 receptions and 66 yards and a touchdown. The touchdown was actually pretty good. Coleman, he had 7 targets for 4 receptions. He had 125 yards. He is one of 3 rookie receivers to have 125 yards or more in a game this year, which is very impressive. He's with Marvin Harrison and Malik Neighbors, which we both know they both had incredible games. So he's up there with them. And I think the offense, honestly, is just going to get more opened up with everything. Josh Allen, he had some pickle juice on the sideline. That did happen.
It's a genuine good thing. It helps prevent cramping and has other benefits too.
That's a
And it
fun
tastes pretty.
fact.
Sometimes it tastes good, sometimes it doesn't. It depends on the brand you get, honestly. Which is
Honestly, I do
crazy.
kind of agree with it. Even though pickles get a lot of hate, but I think pickle juice and pickles in general are actually really good. I love them.
Pickles are gas. Very
They are.
gas.
I agree. I don't like
but
eat them insanely like some people do, but I also don't dislike them like some people do. Like pickles are gas. The Bills have the opportunity to do the most insane thing. We can win the Nashville Hawk Tua. For those not very educated,
please don't
on
explain what the Nashville Hawk Tua
Well,
is.
if we win the next 2 games, we complete the Nashville, Tennessee Seahawks, Tua Dolphins. He'll be back. So we're gonna get that Nashville Hawk Tua.
I'm actually excited for the
And-
Seahawks game.
Actually, I am too. Although Metcalf might be out, so that'll be something to kind of watch. I think we do win that game. Let's take a quick minute to worship the GOAT.
Allow
I
me
know
to,
if you stayed on that field, we would go 17-0 and win, and it wouldn't be fair for anyone else.
allow me to recite
Oh,
a poem about Mitchell Trubisky. Mitchell, king of the field, with every pass and every play you wield, in the game of life, you never back down. Greatest of all time, wear that crown like a crown. Those are some of the lyrics to Mitchell the King, one of the songs coming out in our album in week 9. Just saying. All right, coming in at number 11 and number 10, we have our first tie of the night between the Chicago Bears and the Atlanta Falcons.
All right. Let me preface this by saying Falcons are most likely above. Okay, but I also will say we are not going to lose to Seattle when we play them. But I'm just going to. The Bears obviously had a bye week. There's not much for me to say. But I will say Jay Cutler arrested in Tennessee for DUI and gun possession. Truly one of the greatest Chicago Bears quarterbacks of all time. I think that's just a huge inspiration, to be honest.
it's a motivation.
No, that's just Cutler right there. That's just some good old Jay Cutler right there. I mean, that's it. That's all that happened for the Bears this week.
It was the bye for them, so
Yeah,
nothing much happened.
very depressing.
Yeah, I'm sure. Meanwhile, the Falcons, why couldn't you just win that one game? Guys, really, the Seahawks? Come on.
Yeah, that was a little bit, not even a trap game, but they did get upset a little bit. Which, it's not a bad game to lose, but we did think the Falcons would win.
Well,
Most-
also the Falcons were just coming off a kind of close game against Carolina last week. It wasn't. It was close up until the end, and then Atlanta kind of pulled away with it. But I think comparing last week to this week, Falcons haven't really been playing to expectations.
No, they have not.
Out of these two teams, the comments can beat me up for this. I put Chicago at number 10.
That's my dog. Me too.
Like I genuinely, the fact that just based off of purely momentum, I mean, the Bears, they had an okay bye week, but they came off a couple good wins, and then they got a bye week, and now they're coming off against the Commanders team, hopefully without Jaden Daniels, which is still going to be a big challenge for them. But they have so much momentum coming into this game, and the Falcons, they just have a lot to figure out. So for now, I am putting the Falcons at 11 and the Bears at 10, but it's dependent on your guys' votes.
I completely agree.
Whoa, the Bears fan votes for the Bears player.
I completely
What?
agree.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I'm voting the Bears high too. How do we?
Sweet.
All right, coming in at number 9, we got the Houston Texans, who had a rough game.
I don't even
Shut
want to
up.
talk about it.
I don't even want to talk about this team.
I'll talk about it.
Oh, brother.
All right.
Stefano. What you doing over there when you get in an argument with Mr. I don't even remember his name right now for some
Jair
reason.
Alexander, bro.
Thank you. Jair Alexander.
Wow, are you
That's
casual?
crazy. You don't even know what you're talking about.
Let me just restart.
Sorry, I tried to
No,
place the
that's
casual
staying
blame
in.
on Alex, but it's
yeah,
still
we
not.
no. We bullied Carson for being casual last week. You get the casual treatment too.
What you doing? You had no backup from your teammates. All the Packers players surrounding you and the refs pushing you away, and you just wouldn't stop. You never learn. And now that we don't need a wide receiver one, you're a bum and a fraud, just like your team, who got handed by the Packers, who are also a little bit overrated. But you lost again to one of the only competent teams you've played.
Alex just alienated all of our Texans listeners with that one rant.
Yeah.
Texans listeners, we love you.
Jordan
I love you
Love.
guys. Shut up! I hate him. Anyways, coming in
Anyway,
at number
who's next in the power rankings?
Yeah, coming in at number 8, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who also had a pretty rough night on Monday Night Football.
Very much indeed.
Injuries.
But on the bright side, Mike Evans had his 100th career reception touchdown.
Yeah, and
This
that's
is
all
true.
he's going to get for a while.
So great for him. Great for him.
Notice how Zay Flowers has a career game. He gets injured. Mike Evans has his 100th touchdown. He
Mike
gets
Tomlin.
injured. I don't know.
Bro, you were
Casual.
on casual alert today.
That was just a miss word. I fixed it. I'm literally reading it right now, and I got it wrong. Mike Evans catches his 100th career touchdown, gets injured. Chris Godwin stays in the game after the perfect onside kick by Tampa. That was actually beautiful.
Both of them
The
are going to be out
Ravens-
for a while.
Oh, man, yeah. No, Godwin's gone for the season. Evans will come back.
They said as of right now, he's not expected to come back until at least week 13.
Which he will come back, but
He will. He will for sure. Knowing Mark Evans, he will for sure. He's got to keep that streak of 1,000 yards.
of course.
Coming in at number 7, we have the Russell Wilson Steelers.
All right. Let me just say real quick. All right. Shout out to my good buddies Peyton. All right. Russell Wilson played great. Can't take that away from him. He played absolutely amazing in his debut game with the Steelers. I still take Justin Fields.
Oh, anyway.
Honestly. No, I'm genuinely still in my head. Like I genuinely still think Fields is the right guy for this team. He's younger. He's more mobile. He's been playing pretty good. He hasn't been playing perfect by any means, but he hasn't had a game. He's had a few games like Russell Wilson's game today. Not today, but this game.
I think it's fair to say here that at least we can now recognize that the Russell Wilson start decision had more logic to it than we might have thought.
Yeah, it did.
Whether we agree with it or not, I don't even know if I agree with it or not. I still need to see more of Russ. But
Okay. For the general concept, obviously time will tell, but I think he's looking for the big play potential with Russ and I think that's what the team needs right now. Fields can do it too, but Russ obviously has an exceptional deep ball, and that's one of his big strengths, and I think that's what he's looking for at the moment. And it did get Pickens online. And
Mhm.
I mean, Mike Tomlin did comments on it. His press conference, he like this isn't word for word, but he was pretty much like, "Yeah, I know how to do my job. This is why I'm the coach, and you're on the couch." Type deal. Like Carson, quick, we got to move to the next teams before
Yeah,
Ian
I
starts
know.
ranting. Kids.
I know.
Justin
So
Fields, my glorious king.
coming in at our second tie of the night at 6-5. I already know how I'm voting for this one. We have the
Y'all
Washington
are
Commanders and the Green Bay Packers. You know what? I don't even want to
Okay.
hear. I don't even want to hear you
Okay.
talk, Alex. When
Yeah,
your whole thing for
no.
the Texans was just a hate letter. Because see, you know what I'm gonna do for the Packers? Packers had a great game. Okay, this is just
correct.
a fact. Brendan McManus is solving the kicking problems that they've had, which is a huge milestone because they're the Packers. That one Kraft pass for the touchdown, that was amazing. Yeah, I don't have a whole ton to say about the Packers other than this was a good game. Now, my vote will go to the Commanders.
I think this week, for this specific situation regarding the Packers, we have to take into account the negative bias being thrown into the situation. Admittedly, I understand the Commanders vote to an extent, but remember, Jaden Daniels is injured.
And that's the
Clearly.
point right there. Even with Daniels being injured, they still played amazing. Mariota
It's,
had a great game. The team still seems functional as a unit. I mean, you put a bad quarterback in there, it doesn't matter if it's the Panthers or not, they're going to play bad. But Mariota came in. He's a guy with experience, and he
Malik
played
Willis
effective
is
football. He played
back.
great football. And I still think that the Commanders team in general as a whole is better than the Packers team.
Xavier McKinney didn't have an interception for 2 weeks in a row. This is like monumentous. Like the Cardinals started something here.
That is very true.
Yeah! We can do
Finally, the Cardinals
things!
started something.
Hey, the Cardinals defense is still pretty good, even without Dennis Gardeck. I just had to plug
Anyway,
that.
I'm voting for the Packers, but I already know what's going to happen.
I'm voting for the Commanders,
I'm voting Commanders as well.
but if they don't play well against the Bears this week, I will completely admit defeat. But
But
Okay.
at the same time, you're looking at the past 7 weeks of football and saying that the Packers have played better than the Commanders. Like that's
don't worry, because coming in at number 4, we have a team that we can all hate equally. Well, maybe not equally, but we can all hate quite a lot. We have the Kansas City Chiefs at number 4. It's worth noting that our top 4 teams this week were unanimous. Our top 4, they're perfect in the sense that we all picked them in the same order. So naturally, they're the perfect power rankings. Suck it, Pete Prisco.
Chiefs fans like to talk about how they had a lot of calls last year. The calls, they got a bunch of calls. This year is not the same situation. They're still getting these calls that are questionable in these games. Obviously, not as much of a problem recently, but definitely during the beginning of the season. And a big thing I wanted to highlight with the Chiefs, and another reason I know Ian mentioned how Jordan Love has thrown a lot of interceptions this year. But contrary to Mahomes, he's actually been productive. And I'm not making this like a Love versus Mahomes argument. I'm comparing Mahomes' stats to Jets Sam Darnold and losing streak Trevor Lawrence. His stats are comparable to 2019 and 2018 Darnold. 2018 Darnold's very similar, just ever so slightly worse. It's in the same ballpark though. And that is insane that you can compare Patrick Mahomes' stats in an undefeated season to Lawrence's in a 9-game losing streak. Patrick Mahomes has less yards and even touchdowns with Daniel Jones and has thrown more picks.
So coming in at number 3, we have the Baltimore Ravens, who had an incredible game last night. Probably the only team who played well on Monday Night Football, even though there were 4. I know Derrick Henry had some pretty good stats.
He had good stats in this game, and he leads the rushing stats. That's literally it. He leads every single rushing stat. I'm not just saying the rushing stats. He leads the league in every single rushing stat.
yeah, like you said, Henry leads in every major rushing category. Like carries themselves, rushing yards, rushing touchdowns, yards per rush, rushing first downs. The longest rush in the NFL is his scrimmage yards, scrimmage touchdowns. It's a dominant, very dominant performance, especially this late in his career. Like this is definitely by far his best season. And we're only 7 weeks in. I can confidently say this is and will end up being his best season as an
He's
NFL player.
on pace to break the rushing yards record.
And he's 30 years old. He's 30.
He's 30.
He's 30 years old.
He had 169 in this game. He had a long of 81, that 81-yard rush, which he honestly, I can't confirm this for you, but he might have the 2 longest rushes because his Bills one was the longest at 86. That's not that far behind. I don't think we've had any that have been that long. I might be wrong, but.
And also, speaking of running backs, Lamar Jackson, he may never beat the running back allegations, especially when he just put up his 5th career game with 5+ passing touchdowns and 0 interceptions. That puts him. That ties him for 2nd in NFL history.
Definitely a running back.
Just he's never going to beat those running back allegations, Lamar.
Absolutely not.
And speaking of career games,
Our
Zay
boy.
Flowers coming off a huge career game last week, injured.
We
in
did
this
talk.
game against the Buccaneers.
Did we curse him? Like, is that our fault?
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all.
Yo, guys, Stephon Diggs had a career game.
No, he didn't, Alex. Stop lying.
Yes,
We
but-
value ownership and
Much ownership
integrity here.
It's all for the curse.
We're not
If Stephon
Perna.
Diggs
We
gets
don't
injured,
curse people.
If Stephon Diggs gets injured, it's my fault, and we have to start a curse segment.
So we are just copying Perna now. Okay. Perna, if you want to appear on our show, that'd be cool, by the way. Brandon Perna, we
That's
love
true.
you. We love you. Your curse wheel is awesome. Bailed me out a couple times. So thanks.
Who?
Despite all the great things the Ravens did, they do have a very high penalty count. They had a very interesting drive at one point in the game. There's an image online, obviously. I was watching the game, though, and I left when they have the holding penalty, and I came back, and it was 2nd and goal from the 38. It was 2nd and goal from, like, the 10 when I left. It was 2nd goal from the 38.
That was a funny drive. Gotta
It
love
was.
Ravens football. Oh, so
Did they
good.
score off that drive? I actually don't know. Or they just settled for a field goal?
I think it was a field goal.
Probably.
Speaking of purple teams,
Speaking
Purple
of
People
purple
Eaters.
teams, we got the Purple People Leaders at number 2. The Sam Darnold Vikings.
That was a
Not
fun
a-
game. That was a fun game.
that was a really fun game.
I'm low-key mad I was watching Jordan Love and CJ Stroud and not this, but
I was watching this game. I was, being in the NFC North, I kind of have to see that this was Minnesota was up 10-0, and then Lions pulled ahead with it, and then it was just right back, and then it was just it was a crazy game. On both sides of the ball, Amon-Ra was going crazy, Justin Jefferson was going crazy. Both defenses were playing great. Surprising, the Lions were playing great without Aiden Hutchinson as well.
obviously now's a good time to say that our number 1 team is the Detroit Lions. Just
Really?
to establish that now. So these
That's
are our top
surprising.
2 teams in the whole NFL, and they just had a crazy matchup.
They're playing again, too. I can't wait for that. They're going to Ford Field later in the season.
Oh, it's gonna be so good.
It's making me scared for the NFC North gauntlet we have at the end of our season.
If the season
It's-
stopped right now, you'd all be in the playoffs.
I know, but I think that final stretch is really gonna shake things up a
You
lot.
know what I realized? Sorry to cut you off, but Vikings-Lions is week 18.
Yep.
That might be for the division.
That could be for the division. Honestly, who knows? Bears-Packers could be for the division. We could have a 4-way for the division moment. Like, we don't know.
Well,
Like, they're all really good.
I mean, right now I honestly am shocked. We are 4-2 and we are 4th in our division. That's just crazy
Insane.
to me. And I believe very heavily too that we are going to win our next 3 games, which would put us at 7-2. And honestly, based off the way NFC North is playing, I think we'd be lucky to be third in the division with a 7-2 record,
I will
which
say,
is insane.
um, Jake Bates, man. Listen, I'll say
It's quite the
this.
story. Quite the
As
story right
someone
there.
who was actually surprisingly invested in the USFL this past season, because I've been pretty big in the UFL, and
Battlehawks.
I've liked the Michigan Panthers for a minute. I wouldn't say I'm a fan, but if I had to be a fan of a USFL team, and before that UFL team, it was the Panthers. And watching Bates get that game winning 64-yard field goal versus the Battlehawks, that told me that guy was him. And when the Lions signed him, I knew he'd be a dog. He hit that game winner. He's a dog.
He went from a brick salesman to the Lion savior,
He did.
and you know, I think we've all been kind of invested in spring football when USFL was first. RIP the Philadelphia Stars, Case Cookus, your legacy will not be forgotten. And then XFL came around, it was a pretty good one. Then they combined for the UFL. And I think they had a really good season last year. Um, we've actually seen a lot of players go from UFL teams to the NFL, and a lot of players have impacts. But I think it's safe to say Jake Pates has had the biggest impact for his team coming from UFL. Obviously, you also have to look at Brandon Aubrey, who's been great for the Cowboys. He came
Oh
off
yeah.
a UFL team, but Jake Pates definitely has been one of those guys.
Slight segue, not segueing to anything important, but they always talk about the Chiefs are going to back to back to back. No one ever talks about the Birmingham Stallions going back to back to back. Like, come
True.
on now.
True.
I'm not a Stallions fan, but that's more impressive than the Chiefs. They don't need the refs' help to do it.
We're going to do a quick recap so you can hear all 32. At 32, we got our Ultra Baddies, the soft New England Patriots. 31, the Cleveland Browns. At 30, we got the Carolina Panthers. 29, we got the Mason Rudolph Titans. At 28, we got the Raiders. 27, the Jags. 26, the Dolphins, pending to his return. 25, the Giants. 24, the Cowboys. 23, the Jets. 22, the Saints in front of Drew Brees. 21, the Rams. 20, the Colts. 19, the 49ers, or the half the tier of their team that's left. 18, the Chargers, who chargered it. 17, the Eagles. 16, the Cardinals. They'll probably move up or down 10 next week. 15, the Broncos. 14, the Bengals. 13, the Seahawks. 12, the Bills. 11, the Falcons. 10, the Bears. 9, the Texans. 8, the Bucks. 7, the Steelers. 6, the Packers. 5, the Commanders. 4, the Chiefs. 3, the Ravens. 2, the Vikings. And 1, the St. Louis Battlehawks. I mean, the Detroit Lions. Did I say that? What? There you go.
Back-to-back weeks in which the whole NFC North was top 10, by the way.
It's a crazy division. Best division in football.
Speaking of NFC North teams, there's one in our games of the week.
Speaking of the games of the week, we went perfect this week. We were 3 for 3 on all our picks. So,
It's some
go
crazy
us,
games.
for sure. To kick off our games of the week this week, we got, for the first time, the Chicago Bears take it on the Washington Commanders. One thing I will say about this game, I think it's going to be a great game. I think the Bears will pull away with it. Only like 20% bias into that. But one of the big takeaways from this game right now is Jaden Daniels. We don't know if he's going to play or not. I think that's going to be a huge difference for that offense. I still think Mariota will hold his own. But I'm just ready for it. If we end up winning and Mariota's playing, and the big headline will be, "Oh well, they beat them without Jaden Daniels." Blah blah blah. It's gonna be a great game either way. I believe. I think it's gonna be a great game whether Daniels plays or not. Honestly, I'm kind of hoping he does, but I think it's a good one.
I do want him to play as well. Our second game of the week, because Ian made the grave mistake of not including this last time, we're giving them their well-deserved redemption, even if Godwin and Evans are out. It's Atlanta at Tampa Bay. Again, quick turnaround for these two. We know what happened last time. That was like the game of the year, and Ian convinced us out of not picking it somehow
Yeah, so it's
because
not 100% on my. It's also like 20% on YouTube for letting me convince you guys.
not really. You were just
No.
yapping about
Well,
historical.
if my logic was good enough and you guys agreed with it, therefore,
It's because we trusted
just
you.
saying.
We trusted your
I just think
ownership.
I had
You
great logic
trusted your
behind it.
loyalty to being true to yourself.
In fact, I think we should pick Pittsburgh New York Giants this week
Well,
instead of this
definitely
game.
not. Atlanta at Tampa Bay is our second game of the week.
Yeah, in our third game of the week, a bit of a sleeper. We got Philadelphia Eagles at the Cincinnati Bengals. This is going to be an interesting game. Joe Burrow and Jalen Hurts are both two quarterbacks who have histories of being very good and maybe don't necessarily look the best this year. I think this will be a pretty defining game for one of these teams, and for the other, it's going to be a real shock. Why are you raising your eyebrow?
I think Joe Burrow's looked good this year. I just think his team has let him down, but
Yeah, he's okay. Once he learned to find his receivers. So yeah,
I think this is going to be a defining game for both teams, win or loss. I
absolutely.
think whoever takes the win here is going to be in a much better position. Whoever takes the loss here is going to be in a much worse position, like much worse position.
for sure. It is. I think it'll be exciting. And if it's not, it's still an important game for both of these teams. So those are our
Let's see.
three games of the week. If you're a casual like Alex, then these are the three games that we think that you should be watching this week, or at least one of them. If you pick one, I mean, just branch out, watch a different team. They're actually pretty
What do
fun.
we have to start a casual of the week segment?
Casual of the week is definitely Alex this week. I'll take the first one. That was entirely me, but it's definitely Alex this week. All
I
right.
do want to make the case for Ian though, because he had his one comment earlier, but it is me. But you're on the hot seat, my friend.
I don't
I'm
think I
watching.
am.
I don't think he is. I think you're just deflecting.
Very
But
much so.
okay. Anyways, those are our three games of the week. And this is our episode. So thank you so much for joining us. Again, we love you all. All of you. Ian.
Definitely not Cowboys fans. We don't like you.
We
You guys are just
appreciate.
annoying. We appreciate your viewership.
We
But we don't really
appreciate
like you
you.
guys.
We appreciate you all. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember to follow us on our Instagram, our TikTok, our Facebook now. Subscribe to us on YouTube. You can download our podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, which is pretty awesome. Not a lot of people can say that, but we can because we're just that good. Make sure to comment on our videos. Let us know what you think. Alex, Ian, and I are going to be posting some polls so you can ask us your questions for next week. We're very excited to hit on some of those. And until then, we'll talk to you guys later, and we'll see you on the other side of week 8.